Want to talk about phony for a moment? All the talk yesterday was Beyonce. Where was Beyonce? Beyonce at the DNC. Beyonce was that a bait and switch? There was no Beyonce. Was that used to pump up the ratings so more people would see Kamala? I mean, talk about phony. No Beyonce, but I guess more eyeballs at the DNC, Lawrence.
Yes, were the Democrats putting out false information on social media, which would be entirely unsurprising, to jack up ratings for last night's awful, terrible finale to the Democratic National Convention. Who was it? A Democrat, a member of the Harris campaign, right? Put out a tweet on X with a bee, an emoji of a bee like a bumblebee, which has come to be a symbol of Beyonce. There was a rumor started on the internet that Taylor Swift's private jet, one of her private jets, was tracked flying into Chicago yesterday afternoon, as if to suggest that Taylor Swift would be playing at the Democratic National Convention last night. Was it just another dishonest, sleazy, childlike effort to jack up television ratings for Kamala Harris's big acceptance speech last night? There was another story started by Don Lemon. Don Lemon, you know, Black Hole Lemon. We got is that his nickname online, Black Hole Lemon? Don Lemon, a.k.a. Black Hole Lemon. Mary, he said when that airliner disappeared over the Indian Ocean, he suggested on the television that maybe a black hole came down from outer space, vacuumed up one airliner, and then disappeared back into space, because he's a man of science.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. That's what people are saying. I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous, you think, Mary?
Something that you don't understand. Well, there's a lot that you don't understand, that's for sure. Things that we don't understand would cover a lot of territory for you, Don Lemon. Don Lemon started a rumor that George W. Bush was going to show up and speak at the Democratic Convention last night because Don Lemon has a tiny little brain and he doesn't know what's true and what's not true, and that's why he was a successful CNN anchor for so long. Remarkable stuff. See, it was reported widely last night, breaking news. There is a scheduled gap in tonight's DNC schedule that the special guest is only known to a handful of people. So there was going to be a special guest, right? And then Taylor Swift, one of the big guests, and guesses, and Beyonce, another one. And rumors started online that were false, apparently, that Taylor Swift's jet was being tracked. Okay, but don't worry about the environment. Being tracked coming into Chicago, and that she was going to be the special guest. And Beyonce was going, and that was supposed to, if you're dumb enough, then you build your evening around that because you have so little going on in your life. And Don Lemon, who thinks that black holes come down from outer space, vacuum up a single airliner, take them away, and then, you know, they got hostages in there, and they turn them into Democrat politicians and send them back to Earth. It becomes like a Twilight Zone episode. Remarkable stuff. And that's okay. That's all okay. Right? Don Lemon. So it was going to be Beyonce. It was going to be Taylor Swift. There was a gap in the lineup for last night. She didn't come out until 10:30. I think she was introduced at 10:29. And and then the rumor about George W. Bush showing up. That was started by incredibly dumb people and dishonest people. That'd be Don Lemon. Leading report tweeting out last night, breaking, in all caps, : love their colons. Former CNN host, not anchorman, Don Lemon says sources have told him George Bush could be speaking at the DNC. Sure, that's what's going on. And all of it was BS, just like most of what was said from the stage, because, you know.
Don't be disrespectful to people, or not respectful. Disrespectful, I think, is not actually a word.
He's a $1 million, multi-million-dollar a year national news anchor on CNN. Disrespectful, I think, is not actually a word. Maybe it's absurd, but maybe it's not. Maybe a black hole came down from outer space, vacuumed up one airliner over the Indian Ocean, and then disappeared back into space. I think that's a Twilight Zone episode. Isn't that amazing? They did have this woman, Pink, sing a song, and I got to say, most of the world said, who? And what's the song? And what's that? And then they had the Dixie Chicks, who are no longer the Dixie Chicks. They sang the national anthem, and they were off-key several times, too. They weren't as bad as the other night when the Democrats tried to sing the national anthem on stage. That was pretty sad, pretty pathetic.
Oh, say, can you see?
Reflecting back on the Democratic National Convention, 4 days of Democrats. 8-part harmony or disharmony. Don Lemon would say that's not a word.
Whose broad strides?
This is the national anthem by deaf people. Deaf people sing the national anthem. Pretty remarkable stuff. But they did, and the Dixie Chicks, they came out. They're no longer the Dixie Chicks, though, because remember they had the shut up and sing. They got all political on stage and attacked Republicans naturally. And then they had abortions on stage. I think they had abortions on stage. And then they didn't really. And then they dropped the word Dixie because they found themselves, shut up and sing became the mantra. You know, we don't need your idiot politics. You have 1-digit IQs and all that stuff. And then they stopped being the Dixie Chicks because Dixie was not politically correct anymore with Democrats, even though Democrats were Dixie. Democrats were the Confederate States of America. Their president was Jefferson Davis in the Civil War. So the Democrat Party is Dixie, and they want to disavow all of that. So the Dixie Chicks did away with the word Dixie in their name, and then they just became the Chicks, which is disparaging of women. So they had to drop that. Now they're just the birthing people, the potentially birthing people. If they want, they can be birthing. In theory. So the women formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, they came out proudly hat the Twilight. Whose? So they sang the anthem last night. Did a couple of misses. I don't want to listen to the whole thing. They bore me. But they used to be the Dixie Chicks, and they got in political trouble. Then they became the Chicks. Then they got, I think, in more political trouble because the Democrats they're offended by everything. So they had that issue. So it turns out there was no special guest. It was all a lie. There was no gap in the schedule. Kamala still didn't make it out on stage till 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that's all fine because it's a terrible television show. All right, now let's get to the next thing because there is this, and I made mention of this a week or even 2 weeks ago. The Democrats announced very proudly that they were going to bring influencers, people they call influencers, into Chicago. You know, and influencers make little videos and post the videos on TikTok or on X or on various social media platforms. And usually they're inane and unintelligent, of course, because it's the dumbing down of the world so that the left can take over more easily. But there are these, and the news media, they were very excited about it. The NPR on our dime yesterday had the headline, "For the first time, the DNC welcomes influencers to the stage." To the stage, they're right there on the stage. And the Los Angeles Times with their proud headline, "Inside the DNC with the LA drag queen and a Northridge entertainer as Harris campaign courts influencers." What do they influence? They influence public opinion, of course. And the Reuters news agency, "At DNC, influencers battle journalists for space and access." They want space and they want access. So they get, low IQ people that come in with their iPhones and they make videos of themselves. And then they post the things on social media, and they're dumb, and they have no business influencing anyone. But that's how the Democrat Party thrives. They've organized the stupid, and it works for them. Now, I want to share with you the story of a pair of influencers. There is a young man and a young woman, and presumably the young man is named Grant, and he's gay, which will come as a shock to everyone. He is on the LGBTQ spectrum, presumably the G, possibly the B, maybe the T when nobody's looking, nobody knows. Grant, and then there's a young woman named Ash. Grant and Ash. And they have a pseudonym that they use on TikTok, which is Twink and a Redhead. Twink and a Redhead. So they've got that going. Grant and Ash, and a.k.a. Twink and a Redhead. And I think the male, Grant, is Twink, perhaps appropriately, and she, a Redhead, because I believe that she has red hair, and that might be all there is to it, but nobody can be sure. And because they're such important Democrat Party agents, they were invited to appear on CNN the night before last on Wednesday night, and they were saddled up with Jake Tapper, a former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, and John Brennan, John Burnham, yeah, not penitentiary face at the CIA, but John Berman, read my own writing, and John Berman and Jake Tapper were in studio, and they were proudly up in the skybox there at the Democratic Convention, and they were proudly talking to Grant and Ash, a.k.a. Twink and a Redhead, and listen, it got kind of monkeypox pretty fast. They went monkeypox pretty fast. It sounded like this.
This is something different at this convention. They've credentialed some 200 content creators. They bring them out for 10 minutes at a time.
Content creators.
I'm here with Grant and Ash. Everyone on TikTok knows them. What are you guys doing this week?
We're just making some silly videos, looking hot, hoping it gets young people out to vote.
And also, Jake Tapper, you're my celebrity crush, and we love you.
We love your work.
Right?
Those,
Ash and me both, Jake. So back to you up there.
they are officially adopted.
Yeah.
I have officially adopted them as of now by decree at this convention.
It's a crush, but wait, she, a redhead, said she has a crush on you, and then you say you adopt, which is kind of kinky, I think, isn't it? This is why you can't let them take in illegal alien kids. It gets pretty weird pretty fast. But these are the people that I mentioned earlier, and we've had time to clean up and beep their post because they posted on TikTok because they're influencers, and they wanted to share with everyone that at the Democratic National Convention, you don't see everything that goes on. Not everybody sees everything that goes on. And Grant, a young man, and Ash, a young woman, wanted to share their tale of getting some beep at the Democratic National Convention. They use a slang term for the male appendage, which might also be a shorter version of the name Richard. And here are Grant and Ash, who I think both have a crush on Jake Tapper. Grant and Ash, a.k.a. Twink and a Redhead, on their experience at the DNC.
Much more happens at the DNC than what people see. Oh.
And I just can't believe this happened to me at the DNC.
Oh, I got
Down at the DNC. Oh, down at the DNC. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys.
It's been a real pleasure.
They both got some beep at the DNC. They're both hunting the same thing, and they both got, something short for Richard at the DNC. And this is what the Democrats flew in. They pay them. They're paying. We learned, I shared this stuff more than a week ago. They pay, $3,000 to $10,000 per post so that Twink and a Redhead can tell you that they both got beep at the DNC. There it is. You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology, which helps to quickly destroy A whole lot of different viruses, odors, mold spores, and more in the air, in your home, in your office. Thousands of 5-star reviews online. Works like a champ. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, trash cans, dirty diapers, even DNC protesters are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You know, the powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules. The O3 molecules seek out and help destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and underneath furniture because nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And you don't have to buy filters and replace filters over and over again like so many air filters. You can hold a thunderstorm in your hand, only this big, plugs right into the outlet right there, not a big piece of furniture. And you can start enjoying your home again, breathing fresh air. Get several thunderstorms because right now you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. You're going to get 3 units for under $200. So you put one in your teenager's room, in your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code Chris3. And you're going to save $200 because you hang out with me. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris and the number 3. Yes. The influencers. They got a lot of, what did they get there, Michael? What did they get? They both got, let's just say, what they wanted. That's what they wanted. And they got it because the Democrats, you know, now when will the news break that the Democratic National Convention was a super spreader for monkeypox? That's coming up soon. Now, the United States Secret Service has placed several agents on administrative leave because of the Trump shooting in Pennsylvania. Not a lot of details, not saying how many Secret Service personnel placed on administrative leave, not saying what that implies, whether it's with pay. They say there's an investigation ongoing. So we have that going on. Also, there's been a train crash, Boulder, Colorado. 2 trains have collided, Boulder, Colorado. Pete Buttigieg is no doubt on the job, though, so I think America has nothing to concern ourselves with. The former mayor of South Bend is on the job. Kamala made some promises last night, none of which will be kept. She should promise to wreck the economy, open the border, destroy America, put all of us in danger. Then she can make good on those campaign promises. She should know how this works by now. Let's go to the telephones, which we've not done in some time. Let's go to Marcy, calling from Stockholm, New Jersey. However, you know, not the far-off Stockholm, Sweden. Let's go to Marcy. Marcy, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Marcy, 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 me. Marcy has gone away. She's been hanging in there for some time, and Marcy wanted to say, I'm just waiting for the Democrats to take credit for lowering interest rates. You know, the jobs, the new jobs numbers, 800 and some odd thousand jobs that they had taken credit for just vanished day before yesterday. And we're expecting a statement, an announcement from the Fed apparently today. And for a variety of twisted and tortured reasons, they're talking about interest rates being lowered. But interestingly, it's all for the wrong reasons, all for bad reasons. Because we've twisted ourselves around our own axle at this point on all matters political, economic, foreign policy. Marcy was waiting very patiently. Is Marcy, did she show up? Hasn't showed up? Okay. We're going to have to say goodbye to Marcy then. Let's go to Jerry calling from Nokesville, Virginia. Geraldo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris.
Hey,
Thanks
Jerry.
for taking my call.
You betcha.
So President Trump has to set the record straight on Mrs. Harris's record. And a question I have is, do you think the legacy media will allow him to have ads, to air ads, to do that? Recently, I saw that Fox News even broke away from one of his rallies because of something he was saying that they didn't agree with. So kind of we expect that Fox News and Newsmax will do that, but do you expect the legacy media will do that?
Well, if we're talking about paid ads, then, the networks will take the money because the news divisions don't decide what ads air on the network. That's made at a higher level than the news, like at ABC, CBS, and so on. It is, network, the top floor. They take in the money, and they'll take the money for the ads. Now, if there's something in the ads that they object to and say, well, that's just not true, then they let those Democrat ads air, but not Republican ads air, because the Democrats put things in their ads quite free. Political ads are full of things that you can contest, you can argue with, you can debate and dispute. But typically the networks will take the money. That's the reality. Now, what is it that Fox cut away from? I'm not entirely familiar with this. I wouldn't be shocked, of course.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I read the article, and it might have been concerning the issue with the last election.
Yes, okay. Yeah, they like to run away from that. The networks love to run away from election integrity matters. That's a fact.
Yeah, well, I think that, my concern is that these legacy media stations really won't do the ads. And what you're saying, I guess they will take it wherever the money takes. But in the past, they could have been more fair to President Trump, and they would have had more viewership if they had done that. But they chose not to do that, so they lost money in that gamble.
That's quite interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna look up what you're talking about here, Jerry, with Fox cutting away, and it wouldn't surprise me if it had to do with election integrity, which has all the news organizations terrified, and I'll tell you, and Fox in particular, because Fox lost a lawsuit, and they were ordered to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to one of the voting machine companies, right? Because of some Fox News reporting. So they are gun shy at Fox News big time when it comes to talking about election integrity and votes being stolen and elections being stolen. And Fox News in particular, very gun shy because of the lawsuit that they lost, and they're very gun shy. And I know that other networks are also terrified of the subject. It's kind of a third rail subject right now with the news networks, particularly if you're going to talk about voting machine systems that failed. That is a very touchy subject because of the, you lose $500 million or whatever it was in a lawsuit, and that's going to make you skittish. You know what I'm talking about, Jerry?
Yeah, I do. And I was really excited to hear that, I'm in Virginia, that Governor Youngkin said that this year's voting will be done by paper ballots, and I think that kind of takes that concern off the table for us in Virginia. At least I hope it does.
I hope it does too. And President Trump is pushing for that as well. He's pushing. Look, I like to put it to liberals this way. How about if we adopted France's the system they have in France for electing, and you can go around the world. You can go to Brazil and to South Africa, countries that Democrats and liberals like more than the United States. But go to France, because they all vacation in France, and say, well, how about the French voting system? And how about French standards for abortion? Because, Western European countries have limits of 14 weeks or 12 weeks on abortion. And when you bring that to liberal Democrats in the United States, they just look confused and their mouths fall open and they don't know what to say. But when it comes to voting, France has, and this is what President Trump is talking about doing in the United States too, France has election day, and it's one day, and you show up in person and you show ID and you get a paper ballot, and you fill in your ballot, and you put it in the ballot box, and the ballot boxes are collected, and they have their election results that evening. And it works very well. It's how we used to do things here before the left decided that having every illegal alien sign up to vote and then mailing out ballots by the bundles to apartment buildings and old folks' homes and insane asylums, and then ballot harvesting and drop boxes in the middle of the night in the dark with surgical gloves on. The Democrats tell us that that makes voting better. But they're lying about that because they lie about practically everything at this point. And I'm all in favor of just doing what President Trump is talking about, because he's talking about election day, one day, none of this 90 days of voting, no mail-out ballots to everybody that doesn't request one. Now, I mean, if you're an American and you live in England and you want to get an absentee ballot, then you apply for an absentee ballot and you get the absentee ballot. And that's fine. That's great. I've had to do that myself overseas once or twice to get a ballot when I'm someplace else. But that's not important. The reality is what the Democrats have done to our system of electing leaders is corrupt up the yin-yang. And if you don't acknowledge that to be the case, then you're either a liar or a fool. Right, Jerry?
I agree. And I grew up in an area of southern West Virginia and southwestern Virginia where when I was young, everyone was a Democrat.
Right.
And now hardly anyone there is a Democrat. I think what they've realized, and they do think, is that party has so gone off the rails that what it stands for now is not what they stand for, and they moved away. But yet there are still people, though, that for whatever reason just hang on to that Democratic whatever, that they'll continue to vote. They'll pull the lever for that, and I just don't understand it. And I wish it weren't the case. I don't know how we get to them, but they need to change their behavior.
Yeah, that's a fact. We need to change our behavior as a nation and come to our senses, because the practices that we've adopted, and then, of course, the Democrats in Pennsylvania had Democrat county officials changing election law, which is illegal because the state legislature has to change election law in the state of Pennsylvania. But Democrats did it on a county level, corrupting everything. And then, of course, they win in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the big cities where the Democrat machines run the show, and they don't care about the rest of the state. They insult the rest of the state of Pennsylvania. They call it Pennsyltucky, and guffaw and mock everybody in Pennsylvania that isn't in or around Philadelphia, and a few people in Pittsburgh, because that's what they do, the Democrats. Jerry, you're not alone, my friend. We've got a lot to be concerned about, and we should be concerned, and we should work on making our elections better and work better. And what the a lot of it was done in the name of the Wuhan Red Death that came out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, where the communists run the show, although they did get some funding from the very generous American taxpayers, thanks to Dr. Anthony Fauci and federal government organs that sent money to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Just remarkable stuff. I am telling you. Crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I have ancestors that fought for this country going back to the Revolutionary War. And more recently, my father was a World War II veteran, and 10 of my uncles fought in World War II. 2 of them were Silver Star recipients. I served in Vietnam along with a number of my cousins, and we expect more from our government than to have this kind of situation in terms of how we elect our top person in our government.
Now, you said something there that got my attention. You say your father fought in World War II, and 10 of your uncles?
Yes. My dad was from a family of 12, and my mom was from a family of 13.
Wow. Are you Catholic?
And they, no, they just didn't have a car or TV.
That's pretty good for non-Catholics, I got to tell you. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That is
I think it
extraordinary.
was a TV thing, really. But who knows?
Yeah, no
But,
TV.
yeah, it was kind of interesting. I think I have like 50-some first cousins.
Wow. So are you saying that radio without TV leads to more lovemaking? And that's why I do radio, because I believe in the love. Of course, I do TV also, but never mind that. Yeah, and I just had to look it up. But yeah, Fox News and Dominion, the voting machine people at Dominion, reached a $787 million settlement over Fox News reports about Election Day stuff. So $787 million Fox News lost to Dominion voting systems. So, Jerry, they're very touchy, very sensitive about, talking about Election Day stuff. But I've got to salute you. Vietnam vet, but your father plus 10 uncles, World War II veterans. That is dazzling.
Well, thank you.
Man, oh man, Shevitz. All right, thank you, Jerry. I gotta get to a little bit of what happened last night, because I haven't done an awful lot of Kamala doing her, lying to the American people and all this stuff. And in fact, let's jump right into the lies. And the lies start at soundbite number 1. Here is Kamala Harris last night lying that somehow as vice president, and she was doing it invisibly, and nobody mentioned it. It's a secret, but last night we found out, it's a big lie, that Kamala organized dozens, scores of countries to oppose Putin.
I helped mobilize a global response, over 50 countries, to defend against Putin's aggression.
I helped. Yeah.
And as president, I will stand strong with Ukraine and our NATO allies.
Yeah, she helped. She didn't claim that she did it. She just says, what did she say?
And I helped.
That's right. She helped. She helped to do it. I prefer it. Al Sharpton said she's, back in the kitchen now, as Al Sharpton said. Kamala, and last night she finally, and at the Democratic convention, they finally brought up the war in Gaza, which is an independent territory. It's a two-state solution. It's unfortunate that one of the states is genocidal. That's Gaza. And therefore, they're being bombed just like Germany was in the 1940s. Kamala last night.
With respect to the war in Gaza, President Biden and I are working around the clock, because now is the time to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And let me be clear, I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself.
Yeah, sure, but this is a classic kind of both sides of your mouth kind of thing.
President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
Woo! Hamas needs dignity and freedom and self-determination. They were given freedom and dignity and self-determination and free elections, and they elected Hamas. And Hamas launched a war against the comparative superpower next door, a genocidal attack, a slaughter, a massacre of the peace-loving people next door, many of whom were at an outdoor concert dancing and being civilized when the savages attacked. That was a two-state solution. This has been a two-state solution. The two-state solution was implemented long ago, and the savages in the state next door declared war on their peace-loving neighbors. And now they're getting their asses kicked. And that's too bad. So sorry. Also, I'm getting an update on the Secret Service Pittsburgh employees placed on administrative leave. CNN reporting. Not so fast on that one. More bad reporting from CNN. Democratic National Convention is over, and they actually did it. They actually made Kamala Harris their nominee. Tim Walz, the vice presidential running mate, the assistant coach. He's still the assistant coach. Still not going to bring the team to the state championship. But the media will do their part to corrupt everything. Let's, before we sail on this Friday, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Bill calling from Scottsdale, Arizona. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Bill.
Congratulations on your family's centennial broadcasting. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's true, Bill. Your phone is skipping out on you there. Bill is making reference to the fact that I think you're back now. My family's been on the air for 100 years as of this year.
That's amazing. Your bumper guy's a genius. Best Coast, Gomez, keep it up.
I agree with that, too.
You got to quit calling Navy illegitimate. The only thing illegitimate about her is her grandfather's administration.
yeah. Poor Navy Joan, the illegitimate. See, I just did it. Of Hunter Biden, the daughter, the love child of Hunter Biden.
Yes. Anyway, my wife is in line now to go to the rally out in Glendale.
President Trump rally. President Trump rally today in Arizona.
I'll be joining her shortly, and we're going to be cheering for our next president. So
that is great. That is great. A good thing they arrested the would-be assassin yesterday in Arizona.
Well, it's indoors, so I think he would have had a hard time getting in. But
is that right? It's an indoor event? That's good. That's probably better that way at this point, isn't it?
I'll call you on Monday to report what happened.
All right, please do. Have a great Trump rally. Glendale, Arizona, today, this Friday. Big stuff. Yeah, I'm glad you called in. Yeah, call in on Monday. Let me know that you had a great time at the Trump rally. God bless America.